and welcome. Tonight, the Federal High Court in Abuja refuses a fresh bail application of detained Binance Holdings executive Tigran Gambaryan. A Federal High Court sitting in Lagos refuses to stay further proceedings in the suit filed by the EFCC seeking the forfeiture of properties and monies linked to a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. And the court restrains the National Executive Committee and Board of Trustees of the PDP from removing Umar Damagum as the acting national chairman of the party.
On business news tonight, NNPC finalizes agreements with Shell, Total Energies and Agip to supply gas to the $3.3 billion methanol plant under construction after 9 years.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles Fisayo Dele Bashiru lone goal secures maximum points for Nigeria in the 2025 AFCON qualifier against Libya at the Godswill at Fabio Stadium in New York.
And from the nation's capital, the federal government activated Incident Management System and Emergency Operations Center to combat the recent outbreak of Mpox.
And in international news from London, rescue workers are searching for signs of anyone trapped under rubble after 2 Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut.
We begin tonight with court cases. The first to do with the ongoing Binance case, where the presiding judge, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja, has refused the fresh bail application of the detained Binance Holdings executive Tigran Gambaryan. In his ruling on the motion for bail on medical grounds, Justice Nwite rejected the request, noting that renowned Nigerian medical experts are already managing his health. The judge, however, ordered the Nigerian Correctional Service to refer Mr. Gambaryan to a standard hospital in Abuja for treatment for 3 days to 2 weeks under security supervision. He subsequently adjourned the case to October the 18th, November the 22nd, and the 25th for continuation of trial. Still in Abuja, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court of Nigeria, Justice John Soho, has rejected the request by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, for Justice Binta Nyako to recuse herself from this case. Justice Soho returned Nnamdi Kanu's case file to her to handle, saying that 2 other judges were previously recused from the case. Justice Soho stated that Mr. Kanu's case was reassigned to Justice Nyako due to its prolonged nature as far back as 2015. Since she had handled the case for the most part, she was deemed the most suitable judge to see it through to its conclusion. However, the Chief Judge directed that if at the next hearing of the case, Mr. Kanu still insists on recusing Justice Nyako, he must file a written motion of notice with an affidavit stating all the grounds for requesting the recusal. Mr. Kanu also must serve it on the prosecution team and appear before Justice Nyako for her review and determination. Then she can make her decision. Mr. Kanu's special lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, confirmed the development to Channels Television. He adds that Mr. Kanu's team is waiting for an official notice from the court and a new hearing notice. Justice Nyako earlier recused herself from the case following an oral application by Mr. Kanu and his lawyer, Aloy Ejimako. He had expressed his displeasure and loss of confidence in Justice Nyako, accusing her of disregarding Supreme Court orders. And staying with judicial matters, but this time in Lagos, where the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today refused to stay further proceedings in the suit filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, seeking the forfeiture of properties and monies linked to a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Through his lawyer, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olale Konjo, the former banker has asked the judge to stay proceedings pending the hearing of an appeal he filed before the Court of Appeal, seeking to nullify the temporary forfeiture order earlier granted by the court. But Justice Deinde Dikweolu held in his ruling that interested parties had the right to approach the Court of Appeal, which must be contingent on the trial court's decision. The court also held that an appeal flows from the decision of the trial court, but that in the instant case, the court has not not made any decision as to any application filed or as to the substantive issues in the suit. Justice Dikwe Olu, therefore, dismissed the application made by counsel to the former CBN governor, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olalekan Ojo, seeking to stay the court's proceedings. To election matters, post-election drama continues in Edo State as the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is now alleging that the All Progressives Congress, the APC, is resorting to intimidation of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, ahead of the inspection of election materials. In a statement issued by the Edo State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Osai, the PDP alleges that the APC is intimidating staff of INEC with thugs to frustrate the efforts of the PDP lawyers as they try to reclaim the September 21 governorship election mandate. Mr. Nekere also noted that the PDP lawyers who went to the INEC office were denied access despite presenting a court order to that effect. He also called on the police to protect the INEC facility in the state to safeguard materials used during the election, while calling on civil society organizations, international observers, and other stakeholders to keep an eye on Edo to stop any alleged intimidation and harassment by the APC. His statement reads in part, "We express deep concerns over the recent attack on the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Edo State by thugs and members of the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress led by Honorable Dennis Idahosa, the Deputy Governor-elect. We are in the know that the clandestine and superstitious games is to frustrate the PDP appeal and ensure the petition is not filed before Saturday deadline." End of quote. In the meantime, the APC is now making allegation of its own against the PDP about the election material inspection, and the APC is accusing the PDP of frustrating the tribunal-ordered joint inspection of election materials used in the September 21 Edo governorship election. The party's state chairman, Jared Tenebe, during the press briefing today, alleged that the members of his party were shot at outside the INEC headquarters in Benin City, the state capital, by purported members of the PDP during a planned inspection. He also alleges that his party has petitioned INEC about an alleged importation of external material by the PDP into the state INEC headquarters and might be forced to pull out of the inspection if its petition is not addressed or the alleged gunmen are not arrested.
An exercise that would have been seamless has become problematic and dangerous due to the desperation of PDP candidate Aswa Igodalo and Governor Godwin Obaseki as they have continually invaded the venue in INEC office. The brazen gun attack on supporters of APC yesterday at INEC office by same criminals that murdered Inspector Ako Onu confirmed the danger we have been facing since the tribunal granted us access to inspect materials that were used for the September 21st, 2024 election. In the light of the prevailing circumstances, the All Progressive Congress demand the arrest and prosecution of those that planned and executed the attack on our members yesterday at INEC office. We add also that we are unable to guarantee the APC continuous participation in the inspection exercise in INEC office. We submitted a petition, having seen 6 IAS buses with government house number loaded with beavers machine and registers entering INEC office. We did a petition to that effect, and we demanded that the petition should be treated before we can commence anything with the materials we are going to inspect.
Justice Peter Alifu of the Federal High Court in Abuja has restrained the National Executive Committee and Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, from removing Ambassador Umar Damagum as the acting national chairman of the party. The court ordered that no other person must be recognized as PDP national chairman other than Mr. Damagum until the national convention of the party scheduled for December next year. Justice Alifu issued the restraining order against PDP, NEC, BOT and others while delivering judgment in the suit instituted against them by Senator Omar El Gash Mena. The judge held that in line with Articles 42, 47 and 67 of the PDP, it is only at the national convention of the party the national officers can be elected. In the suit, Justice Lefu says that the PDP members are bound by the constitution of the party and as such must always act in line with the provision and obedience of the party's law. The plaintiff, who claimed to be the chairman of PDP in Yobe State, had instituted the suit against PDP and 8 others, alleging that some stakeholders of the party had been holding meetings to forcefully remove Mr. Damagun from office in gross violation of the party's constitution. Meanwhile, prior to the court ruling barring the PDP, NEC and BOT from sacking Mr. Damagum as acting national chairman of the opposition party, there were back-and-forth suspensions of ranking party officials. They began with the NWC, led by the acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, announcing the suspension of the party's national publicity secretary, Debo Ologwagba, and the national leader advisor, Kamaldeen Ajibade, for alleged insubordination. Not too long after that, the national publicity secretary, Mr. Debo Ologwagba, and the national legal advisor, Mr. Ajibade, in a statement signed by Mr. Ologwagba himself, announced the suspension of the PDP acting national chairman and the national secretary, Samuel Anyao. Following the NWC's decision, it then directed their respective deputies, Ibrahim Abdullahi Manga as acting national publicity secretary and Okechukwu Osoha, acting national legal advisor, to assume office in acting capacity from Friday, October the 11th, 2024, pending the conclusion of investigation by the committee. A parallel state working committee of the People's Democratic Party has emerged in Benue State. The group consists of some aggrieved members loyal to former Governor Gabriel Suswam, who had earlier called for the boycott of the October 3rd State Congress. The committee announced Mr. Chris Abba as the state chairman.
These are members of the People's Democratic Party who stayed away from the October 3rd State Congress, which saw the election of a state working committee. Most of them are loyal to former Governor Gabriel Suswam, and they have converged for the emergence of a parallel state working committee.
Tax us with this responsibility is not for you to abandon us, because without you, we can't function. And so we will need you to function. And so we'll be relying mostly on your experience and your advice as great party men.
We are going to sort out the issue of the local government committee for the World Congresses. As you are all aware, the Ojomo-led panel collected all the results of the World Congresses and left them here in Makurdi. They are still here in the chairman's office, and I'm sure as soon as the chairman takes over, he's going to inaugurate all those World Committees.
However, the committee that emerged from the October 3rd exercise is loyal to former Governor Samuel Otom. The group is focused on pushing for the emergence of the national chairman for the party from Benue West Senatorial District.
We, the people of North Central, have been marginalized for long, since the suspension of Dr. Yochayu from the party. And Damagun has been there in acting capacity for over a year. We have a sole nominee here in Benue State who, according to the zoning, favors him to replace Dr. Yochayu. And that person is no other person than Engineer Conrad Tehide Otan.
In fulfillment of our civic duties as chairman of the PDP in the 23 local government areas of Benue State, endorsed Engineer Conrad Tehide Otan as the sole nominee of the PDP in Benue State to replace Dr. Ayocha Ayu as national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
Nevertheless, former Governor Suswam is also eyeing the seat of the party's national chairmanship.
In part two, after the break, the Bayelsa State APC chapter suspends the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Heineken Lokobiri, and the party's 2019 governorship candidate in Bayelsa State, David Leon, for alleged anti-party activities. As a chieftain of the party, Isomike Blackson says the suspension is illegal. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. The Federal High Court Abuja refuses the fresh bail application of detained Binance Holdings executive Tigran Gabriel. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos refuses to stay further proceedings in the suit filed by the EFCC seeking the forfeiture of properties and monies linked to the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. And court restrains the National Executive Committee and Board of Trustees of the PDP from removing Umar Damagum as the acting national chairman of the party. There's at least 22 persons killed in Israeli airstrikes in Beirut. And there is more to today's federal court's refusal of the fresh bail application of the detained Binance Holdings executive. Well, a brief press statement issued by the firm says that the Binance company is deeply disappointed by the court's decision to deny Mr. Gambaryan bail, particularly given his deteriorating health. According to the statement, he's been unlawfully detained for over 220 days. The statement adds that the detained executive did not go to Nigeria as a decision maker, and there is no good reason to continue to hold him. Binance also says that it is committed to working with the Nigerian government to resolve issues and that Mr. Gambaryan must be allowed to go home. We'll turn back our attention to politics. The acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Umar Damagum, has led 5 state chairmen from the Northeast to the meeting with the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Mr. Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. The meeting, which held behind closed doors, discussed recent developments within the party. Governor Mohammed, who briefed journalists after that meeting, explains that the party is working to resolve the leadership crisis. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu reports.
About a month ago, some members of the People's Democratic Party paid a courtesy visit to the chairman of the party's Governors Forum to resolve the leadership crisis rocking the party. One of the key outcomes of the meeting is the proposal to relocate the national chairmanship seat to the North Central region. A day after, the PDP Board of Trustees visits the governor as part of efforts to resolve the crisis in the party. The latest visitor to Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State is the acting national chairman of the party, Mr. Umar Damagum, who is leading representatives from the Northeast region to the meeting. Before moving into a closed-door session, the leaders bear their minds on the situation in the party.
It is not about our personal interests. It is not about our personal problems. And that of any other stakeholder in Nigeria, God in the nick of time has given me and my brother the leadership of this party. And therefore I begged him on my knees that we should be able to come together and resolve all these contending issues. And we have agreed in the presence of other stakeholders that we are going to do that so that we will return the glory of the party. I want to use this opportunity to tell Nigerians that PDP is a brand. It's the only surviving party since 1998. We have tested so many turbulences. We have come out of it strong. And today we are reorganizing ourselves, uniting ourselves to make sure that come 2027, we take what rightfully belongs to us.
The meeting then continues behind closed doors. The meeting soon comes to an end and the governor clears the air on the reported plot to remove him as the chairman of the Governors Forum.
We have agreed and discussed these suspensions extensively with the acting national chairman, and we have resolved to work along together with other organs of the party, the BOT, the members of the Governors Forum, the caucus of the Senate and the House to resolve all these issues.
However, the acting national chairman takes time to speak on the state of the nation.
Those that collected spaghetti and wrappers to bring this government are feeling it more than anybody else. And this should be a lesson for all of us that we should look for credibility, those who are actually proven and tested, those who are ready to govern us, not is my time.
The leaders of the party maintain that the party is not divided, stating that relevant party organs are resolving the crisis within the party. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News. The All Progressives Congress, the APC executives in Ekeremo and Southern Ijaw local government areas of Bayelsa State have announced a suspension of key party members, including the Minister of State for Petroleum, Senator Heineken Lokobiri, and the 2019 governorship candidate of the state, Mr. David Leon. Two serving commissioners in the People's Democratic Party-led Bayelsa State government, who are also APC members, were among those suspended. The suspensions were reportedly due to anti-party activities and alleged factionalization of the party at the state level. Addressing journalists, the chairman of the APC in Ekeremo local government area says the suspension of Senator Lokobiri and the Commissioner for Power was based on the findings of an internal disciplinary committee.
For the State Petroleum Resources, Senator Heineken Lokobiri and his followers have been involved in anti-party activities since the 2019 gubernatorial election, when he sought to be standard bearer of the party, but the party members did not support his ambition. Hence, he lost out and started working against the party, using supporters to institute case in court against the party, and also establish a factional state secretariat of the party at Azigboro Expressway, Biobulu, and was compensated by the PDP-led government of Bayelsa State. The executive of the party in the Ekeremo local government is still reviewing other cases of anti-party activity done by the other party faithful, and appropriate action will be taken against anyone found guilty in the coming days.
The APC executives in Southern Ijaw local government area also said the suspension of Mr. Leon, Commissioner for Lands and Survey, along with 6 other members, is due to alleged anti-party activities and gross misconduct.
Recall that the said stakeholders and members of the party have been involved in anti-party activities since the senatorial by-election in 2020, when they conspired with the People's Democratic Party, PDP, candidates and work against our party's candidates, then Mr. Ebefemowe Abel. For the sake of a united party, their actions were overlooked, and the party refrained from taking disciplinary action against them. In the 2023 National Assembly election, the same set of stakeholders and their supporters openly work against our National Assembly candidates. In the 2023 gubernatorial election in Bayelsa State, all the aforementioned members openly work for Governor Doyediri of the People's Democratic Party, and some of them were compensated with contracts and appointments. As we strive to build the party ahead of 2027, it is our resolve to strengthen the party and build confidence in party grassroots membership, who believe in and have sacrificed remarkably to the party in the state.
Meanwhile, the former deputy chairman of APC, Bayelsa State, Ogebiri Nkumo, has condemned the announcement regarding the indefinite suspension of the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Heineken Lokobiri, the former governorship candidate of the party, Chief David Leon, along with several others, for alleged anti-party activities by the All Progressives Congress, the APC, in Ekeremo and Southern Ijaw local government areas. The former deputy chairman made this known in a statement on Friday, stating that the purported suspension is entirely entirely null and void, and it is an act born out of sheer ignorance by the individuals behind it. His views were echoed by the chieftain of the APC in Bayelsa State, Mr. Somkime Blackson, who describes the suspension as invalid.
The judgment is alive and is still valid. As it stands now, Bayelsa State does not have valid ESCO from the states to the world level. And so I don't know if they are not aware, which the person that purported to be the chairman of a criminal was in court also that day, and so is fully aware of the actual or current situation of the party in Bayelsa. So you can't put something on nothing. And therefore, there's no suspension. In the eye of the law, this guy does not exist. So for me, it's not something to be worried about because Bayelsa does not have valid ESCO. I want to also call on the national, in fact, Mr. President, who is the leader of the party, to intervene in the issue of Bayelsa, and so the national can come up with a working caretaker committee in a view of putting the party together. Bayelsa, as it stands now, APC as a party, we don't have party officials. There's nobody that can claim anywhere that is a member or is an ESCO of APC. There's none, going by the judgment.
Still ahead on the news at 10, NNPCL finalizes agreement with Shell, Total Energies and Agip to supply gas to $3.3 billion methanol plant under construction after 9 years. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. As we turn our attention now to health, we head over to Abuja Studios where Terry Kumi is standing by. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Anne. Nigeria has activated its Incident Management System and Emergency Operations Center to combat the recent outbreak of Mpox. This was disclosed by the Mpox Incident Manager of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Mr. Odianose Ehiakamin, during an Mpox outbreak operation capacity workshop organized by the Nigerian Red Cross Society. Mr. Ehiakamin explains that efforts to curtail the spread of the disease is yielding results, as he confirms that over 90 cases have been reported in 25 states and the Federal Capital Territory. To security now, as part of efforts to reinforce security and build community trust, the newly posted police commissioner is assessing the security structure and evaluating the effectiveness of ongoing security deployments in the country. The police commissioner, Mr. Olatunji Disu, has vowed to strengthen the security architecture. He stated this when he visited border communities in Buari Area Council on the outskirts of the FCT.
The police commissioner for the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Olatunji Disu, leads the leadership of the command to border communities in Buari Area Council as part of efforts to strengthen the policing strategy in the area. The area was once a hotbed for kidnapping, and this visit affords the police leadership the opportunity to hear the security concerns of various groups, including traditional rulers and youth groups. The police chief emphasized the importance of collaboration between the police and residents, while encouraging community members to remain vigilant.
I found out that because of the topography of this area, I cannot say it belongs to Kaduna and leave it unpoliced. So we are having wonderful synergy with the commissioners of police that share border with the Federal Capital Territory. I just finished talking with the Commissioner of Police Kaduna. I've spoken with the Commissioner of Police Niger State, and their officers are joining us. It's a wonderful cooperation because the Inspector General of Police have mentioned it time and time again that crime have no border.
While CAM has returned to the area, police is assuring the community that the command will strengthen its deployment in key areas within the Buari axis.
This is a very big area, vast landmarks, and you can see the hills everywhere. So these are typical areas for this kind of crimes we are talking about, kidnapping, robberies, and especially for these bandits that come around. I've seen the deployment. I've spoken with the DPO. I will Just like I mentioned to him some few minutes ago, we'll be deploying technology to assist us. We'll be flying drones. The drone team will be coming around to see it. We'll be taking coordinates of important areas so that officers who have not been here before can get instruction from us and move to areas quickly. We are going to deploy some other strategies. One or two of them I may not want to say publicly.
The FCT Police Command is renewing its commitment to tackling crime and ensuring that the FCT remains a safe and secure environment for residents.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to Lagos.
Thank you, Terry. The Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, is hoping to boost industrial activities and manufacturing in the state with a proposed Gateway Inland Dry Port City located in Ewekoro local government area of Ogun State. During the chairing of this ceremony, jointly hosted by the Governor and the Minister of Marine, Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, the Governor explains that the project is part of the administration's strategic multi-modal transport master plan, which is designed to provide effective transport and logistics services across the state and ease of doing business. On his part, the minister says the project is in line with the renewed hope of the federal government, saying that the project is part of the critical component of the broader strategy to position Nigeria as a leading player in the blue economy as the nation continues to diversify its economy.
Having identified the ideal location, convenient for other manufacturers, contiguous to a rail line, access to two major roads, and availability of natural gas pipeline, the business case for this project was established. We went ahead and acquired this site, which is about 600 hectares in the first phase. Today, history is being made by this groundbreaking of this world-class, state-of-the-art Gateway Inland Dry Port, as remarked by the Minister, is a key enabler of industrial activity and manufacturing in Ogun State. It will, on completion, increase the ranking of our state on the Ease of Doing Business Index. It will provide, like Honorable Musa said, over 5,000 direct jobs and over 15,000 indirect jobs.
It will attract investment that will spur regional development, benefiting Ogun State and beyond. No doubt this project aligns seamlessly with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, as we are committed to creating an enabling environment that fosters innovation, economic growth, and infrastructure development. This initiative will undoubtedly help Ogun State become a more attractive destination for businesses and investors, reinforcing our collective aspiration for a prosperous Nigeria.
For more in the world of business, Dominic Iwewu is standing by to take us through those stories.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has partnered with Shell, Total Energies and Ajib to finalize a landmark deal to supply gas to a $3.3 billion methanol plant under construction on Brass Island in Bayelsa State, southern Nigeria. The gas sales and purchase agreement was signed today in Abuja, 9 years after the project was initially announced. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, says the signing represents a significant milestone in ongoing efforts to monetize Nigeria's vast gas reserves. The state-owned oil company and its partners are expected to supply approximately 270 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to the project. The federal government has proposed a new bill that will require individuals engaged in banking, insurance, stockbroking, or other financial services to provide a tax identification number before they can create new accounts or operate an already existing one. The bill, which is dated October the 4th, has been submitted to the National Assembly with an aim to enhance tax compliance and improve the country's revenue collection process. The federal government says the proposed requirement is part of a broader effort to ensure that all individuals, residents and entities participating in financial activities are properly registered for tax purposes. The World Bank has ranked Nigeria among the top 10 countries most hard hit by food inflation in the world after reaching a 28-year record of 40.87% in June. In its food security report for the month of September, the global lender stated that Nigeria is the 5th country most hard hit by food inflation globally and the 3rd in Africa. According to the report, the country hardest hit by food inflation is Haiti, with a 12% year-on-year real increase in food inflation, followed by Malawi, Vietnam, and Liberia. Nigeria's food situation has been challenged by insecurity in the food-producing regions, climate change, environmental challenges caused by climate change, and other structural issues. And outside our borders, latest data from the Office of National Statistics shows that the UK's economy bounced back in August, boosting the new Labour government ahead of its maiden budget later in October. The gross domestic product grew 0.2% in the reported month compared with July, when output stalled. The rise in economic growth was in line with analysts' expectations after GDP flatlined in June and July. And back home to the domestic stock market, which has also bounced back from a 3-consecutive-day decline. Ini John Mekwa has details of Friday's trading session on the Nigerian exchange.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. I'm happy to say there's a recovery at the market. Not enough to cancel out the losses of the week, but at least we have 75 billion naira added to the market cap, building on the 56 trillion naira, and the all shares 0.13% in the green, of course, on the 97,000 level. MTN for the 3rd time this week moving the market. So twice it moved the market into the red zone, but today we see that it gained 1 naira and closed at 191. It's the market mover for today. Look at the sectors, and we see a little bit of changes there. Banking, for instance, has recovered up 1%, 1.06% because of Access Co, FBN Holding, and GT Co. While on the flip side, we have consumer goods. For a 2nd time this week, we see Dangote dragging that counter down. Flour Mill has joined today, and oil and gas did make up its mind at the close of trade, so we see it on change. But it's good to get into the weekend with the bull.
And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. The U.S. has asked Israel to ensure the safety of United Nations peacekeepers in Lebanon after Israel military hit UN bases in the south of the country in Lebanon. On Thursday, 2 peacekeepers were wounded when an Israeli tank fired on UN facilities in the south went off. Here's Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Rescue workers are searching for signs of anyone trapped under rubble after 2 Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut. Lebanon's health ministry says the attacks, which came with no warning, killed at least 22 people and injured 117 others. Meanwhile, Israel said Hezbollah fired more than 190 projectiles from Lebanon into Israel yesterday. The UN Secretary-General earlier spoke of the need to avoid all-out war in the region.
This was just the beginning. What we are witnessing in Lebanon is a massive operation with strikes, heavy bombardments, obviously also with bombardments from the Hezbollah side, but that are causing a dramatic number of civilians being killed.
At least 16 people are confirmed dead after Hurricane Milton passed through Florida. The total number of deaths could still rise as rescue workers make their way through floodwaters and debris.
Hey, let me spin around. Hey, right there.
More than 2 million homes and businesses are without power, and thousands of people have been rescued from flooded areas. Officials are warning more flooding is likely in the coming days. Florida residents are being warned not to visit areas hit by Hurricane Milton after it brought tornadoes, floods and storm surges to the state. 1 person has died and 23 others have been rescued after a lift malfunctioned at a disused Colorado gold mine. Two groups of 12 people were touring Molly Kathleen Gold Mine in Cripple Creek, a privately owned tourist attraction, when the failure occurred on Thursday, leaving one group stuck below ground for 6 hours. In the first group, one person died, while the remaining 11 tourists, including 2 children, were rescued from the mine, 4 of them with minor injuries. The second group of 12 was stranded in a tunnel at the bottom of the mine, but all were returned to safety later in the day. Pope Francis has met the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Vatican for their second face-to-face encounter in 4 months. The two men, who previously met on the sidelines of the Group of 7 summit in southern Italy this summer, held private talks for 35 minutes at the Vatican's Apostolic Palace. At the end of the meeting, Francis gifted Zelensky a piece of bronze artwork with a flower growing next to a bird, inscribed with the phrase, "Peace is a fragile flower." Zelensky is travelling across Europe this week to discuss his proposed victory plan with the leaders of Britain, France, Italy, Germany and the head of NATO. Nihon Hidankyo, a Japanese group of atomic bomb survivors, has won the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize.
Has decided to award the Peace Prize for 2024 to the Japanese organization Nihon Hidankyo.
Known as Hibakusha, the group is made up of survivors of the 1945 bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It has been recognized by the Norwegian Nobel Committee for efforts to rid the world of nuclear weapons.
To the Japanese organization.
The Nihon Hidankyo co-chair appeared to be in shock at a news conference in Hiroshima. Witnesses to the only 2 nuclear bomb events ever to be used in conflict have dedicated their lives to the struggle for a nuclear-free world. The groups say they continue to call for the abolition of nuclear weapons. Next year, it will mark the 80th anniversary of the dropping of nuclear bombs by the United States on Japanese cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Ordinary Japanese people were also moved by the news. Japan's Prime Minister said the award was extremely significant. And Tesla boss Elon Musk has unveiled the firm's long-awaited robo-taxi, the Cybercab, at the Warner Bros. Studio in Burbank in California. The futuristic-looking vehicle, featuring 2 wing-like doors and no pedals or steering wheel, was presented by Mr. Musk in front of an audience eager to hear details about a project he considers key to Tesla's next chapter. At the event, Build We Robot, the multi-billionaire reiterated his view that fully self-driving vehicles will be safer than those operated by humans and could even earn owners money by being rented out for rides. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Well, I guess it's good news coming from the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and Chris Illems is here to give us more details in the world of sports.
Yes, thank you. And it's indeed good news that the Super Eagles of Nigeria maintained the lead in Group D at the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifier with a 1-0 win against the Mediterranean Knights of Libya this evening. It took the 3-time African champions 87 minutes to break the resilience of the North Africa, thanks to Lazio midfielder Fisayo Dele Bashiru's brilliant strike. In the other Group D clash between Benin Republic and Rwanda, they actually enjoyed a 3-0 win against Rwanda. After 3 rounds of matches, Nigeria lead Group D with 7 points. They are closely trailed by Benin on 6 points, Rwanda on 2, and Libya with just a point. And 3 games will be decided on Saturday in Match Day 6 of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Abia Warriors, who are gunning for their 2nd win of the season, will host Kwara United in Umuahia. Sunshine Stars of Akure will host defending champions Rangers International. The Akure-based team are 8th on the MPFL log, with 2 wins from 5 games, while Rangers are 4th. In Lagos, bottom-based Ikorodu City will be home at the Onikon Stadium against Benin Arsenal Bendel Insurance. That's sports. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The Federal High Court in Abuja today refused the fresh bail application of the detained Binance Holdings executive, Tigran Gambaryan. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos also refused to stay further proceedings in the suit filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, seeking the forfeiture of properties and monies linked to former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Also today, the court has restrained the National Executive Committee and Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party from removing Umar Damagum as the acting national chairman of the party. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne.